Hi, I'm John Hart. Welcome back to Mr. America Hart. Today's video, I was originally going to do it on how to train to failure, or training to failure. What is it? And it it hit me as I started to do all of this and gather my thoughts, my notes, all of this for today's video, that recently, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a short story here. There's a YouTuber out there named Jay Vincent. He's got himself a nice channel. I'm going to put across here a link to his video. Down below in the video description, you'll find a link to his videos, to his channel. Jay Vincent was nice enough to go ahead and repost one of my videos. And when he did, it was one called 1 set versus 3 sets, which was best. And him being a high intensity guy, just like myself, high intensity training, it was kind of predictable which way he was going to lean on that one. So I appreciated that. So shout out, Jay. Thank you very much. And while I was over there, because he tagged me in it, I went ahead and I checked out a few videos on his channel. And here was an important part right here. Here was a fun thing. There was one video in particular, I'm going to put the link down for that video as well, called This is Not Training to Failure. So I'm not going to take his content and repost it on this video, okay? I do not have permission for that. I never asked him. I know YouTube lets me do a little bit of that, but I'm not cool with that. I don't like other people doing it with me without asking. So I didn't ask him, so I'm not going to do that. But I'm just going to rather direct you so he gets credit for putting up the content to go and see this video. But why am I even bringing this up? Because he points out, in particular, this is so fun, okay? Only guy I've seen point this out. So that's why I'm really pumping this video of his for you guys to see. And that is, he points out the hypocrisy, or what Brad Schoenfeld, Brad Schoenfeld, if any of you even recognize that name, Brad Schoenfeld is an exercise scientist. He's the most quoted source when all of y'all who disagree with high intensity training say that high volume training has been proven to be so much better than HIIT or high intensity training. And we all know, all you have to do is read the studies, okay? When you read them, you see fractionally in a short-term study, barely even, have they been proven, 3 sets versus 1, to be better, okay, for bodybuilding purposes, hypertrophy, fractionally. Okay, so anybody who interprets that different as, I don't know, it's a fraction, okay, of a percentage point. Better. So, and I've done videos explaining how, in reality, when you consider all of the variables, especially training more than the 6 or 8 weeks that most of these studies are done in on total newbies, okay, generally speaking, even if they were done on experienced lifters at that point in time, it's only a 6 or 8 week study. So there's many reasons why high intensity training long term will be better for you. But a lot of you know, I've been around the block for 3 or 4 decades now. For most of the last 38 years, I've trained with some hardcore bodybuilders and some hardcore training partners. Okay, and shout out to Steve Ballinger. Shout outs to Dr. Mike Remy. I want to give it up to you guys. You were some of the hardest training partners I ever had. As an adult, I got to give to Steve Ballinger. I'm going to put a picture up of my boy Steve right there. Anyway, so Dr. Mike, I'll even put a link to Dr. Mike's YouTube channel as well. So these are some of my favorite training partners, hardcore all the way through. And I started out with high intensity training, meaning I trained in Mike Mentzer's heavy duty fashion. And that's a whole other deal. You can check out any one of my videos. I've done 350 videos at this point or something like that. And there's a bunch of them on Mike Mentzer and heavy duty training. I also have done my own, I've written books, but I also put a great download. You can find it in the video description down below, called Physique 101, which describes training routines as well as diet, how you can manipulate the variables. You can download it right down below. Just hit that link. It'll take you right to it, Physique 101. Now, I started out with that high intensity training. And then I did that for a few years, gained some really great muscle. First few years of training, my base was from high intensity, heavy duty training. And then I went off the path a little bit. And just for a few years, I was training in more of a higher volume fashion. I don't mean high volume. I'm talking like I can't tolerate, never could tolerate more than 2 or 3 sets of anything. So I was doing 2 or 3 sets of each exercise. And when I did do that, even during that time period, my training partners know we always trained to positive failure. Warm-ups, past the warm-ups, everything was done to positive failure at least. Otherwise, we weren't training hard. That's basically, we defined it as training hard. Okay? So, Jay, you had me laughing at this one point in the video where you showed Dr. Schoenfeld training to what he called his failure point. And it was laughable because he was nowhere. No, he was not anywhere near. He talks about having, training with multiple sets, leaving reps in reserve. Oh boy, even when he trained to failure, what he called failure, he was training with reps in reserve because there was just no drive to take it to the actual end. Okay? It's quite different from what you view in that video right there. So watch Jay's video also at the end. He offers training to failure in his video, and I have some down below. You can see in my playlists, you'll find some videos of me training as well to failure, as well as training other people to failure too. So I don't like the word failure. It's really like success. You're achieving something. But nevertheless, I'm a word guy. So back to the story. Jay, man, you had me laughing. So I couldn't help myself. And so if that is what all of y'all are basing a lot of your knowledge base on with regards to training, if that is the example that is what they call training to failure, then it's a poor excuse of a 1-set training to failure that you would compare 3 sets, leaving a couple of reps in reserve. And I have to point out that, of course, if it's Dr. Schoenfeld training with leaving reps in reserve, he probably has more reps in reserve than we think. But that's a side note. So I'm just not sure that he was actually training to failure, actual failure. If he was, there would be a little bit more drive in him than what you saw in that video, and what you're about to see in that video. So again, link down below, timestamp right next to it. You can go ahead and see at that timestamp exactly what I'm talking about. It's very amusing. It's somewhere between 3 and 4 minutes. So it'll be in there. So that's it for today. I just wanted to point out, give a shout out to another channel. I don't mind pointing out when there's some really great work being done out there. And this one video in particular, Jay Vincent did, is worth watching to go ahead and get a better understanding of training, what training to failure is. He does himself train to failure later on in the video. And you all know how I feel about high intensity training. He is training in high intensity fashion. We disagree on the rep speed. That's us. Okay, that's me. I've done super slow. I've done slower reps as well. Not super slow, but just generally slow reps. And I don't agree with that aspect of it. But that's being nitpicky. High intensity training can be high intensity training taken to failure at whatever speed you're using, and all within reason. And so the original guys, they didn't have the advantage of some of this research that's been done with the slower speeds. So who knows, maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years from now, we'll find out even more information on what's the best. And ultimately, hey, maybe I could be totally wrong on it. Maybe Jay is totally wrong, or whoever the super slow guys are, they might be totally wrong. So in any event, check it out, enjoy it. Go ahead and check out the rest of his channel. He has some good content up over there. Give him a subscribe, hit that subscribe link. And then also, before you leave my channel, look, off to my left right here, you're going to find a subscribe button right there. Why don't you go ahead and give that thing a tap? That lets YouTube know to notify you when I have a new video pop up. And then down below, off to your left, you're going to find a thumbs up button right there. Once you give that thing a tap, that lets the YouTube algorithm know that you really like my videos, and I like it as well when you give that thing a thumbs up. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.